welcome back to Eyes Unclouded.
Global Perspectives from Tokyo.
With Ansel
and Tomoko. Did you know that last year's Japanese Buzzword Prize was awarded to the word kamiteru?
Kamiteru? What does that mean?
It's a word mostly used by young people said when things turn out really well, although God had intervened.
Kami in kamiteru does mean God in English. So this would be said when something turns out so well that it's like a miracle, as though it couldn't be real?
Right.
Well, last year's Oxford Dictionary Word of the Year also had to do with something far removed from reality.
Oh, it was posters, wasn't it?
Correct. It was chosen as a word expressing changes occurring throughout the world.
How would you define posters simply?
Well, words that follow the pattern post-something usually mean that the something used to be considered important but no longer is. So it means that we've come to a point where objective truth and facts are no longer viewed with importance. Additionally, you'll often hear the phrase post-truth politics.
Clearly, a phrase that applies to the Trump administration. Their statements, including the president's own tweets, include many falsehoods, as the media often reports.
I think we can safely call them lies at this point. There are so many that it can start to wear a person down. And they got started right away by famously making false claims about the number of attendees at the presidential inauguration. Trump strongly opposed the initial media estimates of around 250,000 attendees, accusing the media of lying, while claiming that it looked closer to 1.5 million people. Then, at the administration's first press conference, the White House spokesperson declared that it was, quote, the largest audience ever to witness an inauguration, period, both in person and around the globe. But by comparing photographs of the 2017 Trump inauguration and the 2009 Obama inauguration, it's obvious that the claims of the Trump administration aren't true.
Wow, these two pictures are likely to be carried in future textbooks whenever they explain the term post-truth.
A literal textbook example. ABC News had reported that Obama's 2009 inauguration drew 1.8 million attendees, with the 2013 attendance falling to around 1 million. Subsequent analysis by organizations like PolitiFact places the Trump inauguration anywhere between 250 to 600,000 attendees, still a far cry from Trump's assertion, which again is obvious from the photographs.
Of course, it doesn't really matter how many people attended the inauguration, right?
Exactly. This is just a clear example of how even in the face of direct contradictory evidence, the Trump administration doubles down on their own narrative. The truth, which used to be important, no longer is.
Post-truth has even become a serious problem in Britain, hasn't it? Take the June 2016 British vote to leave the EU, termed the Brexit. Post-truth was in full effect with the Leave campaign selectively publicizing information that agreed with deeply held concerns of the voters, whether or not it was true. Doing so, they are able to sway a nation.
The Leave campaign made many demagogic claims, such as how Britain contributes £350 million per week to the EU, which could be better spent on the national health system. Though perhaps the most influential assertion was that foreign immigrants are stealing jobs from Britons and driving down wages.
But was that actually true?
Multiple news sources reported on the facts of the matter prior to the referendum. According to a report by The Guardian, which specifically refuted the fear-mongering claims of UKIP and the Leave faction, while foreign workers in Britain have increased from 1.4 million in 2013 to 2.1 million in 2016, at the same time those 700,000 foreign workers entered the labor market, 1 million Britons did the same. Additionally, foreign workers pay more in taxes than they receive in benefits, resulting in economic growth of 0.6% per year. That level of growth can contribute to the creation of even more jobs in turn. And while there is wage depression, it's occurred fairly consistently, even in areas without much immigrant settlement, and can be traced back to the 2008 financial crisis.
So far from stealing British jobs, immigrants contribute to job creation and the British economy. And there seems to be no relationship between declining wages and increasing immigrants.
British prosperity, though faced with the problem of a declining workforce, has been able to continue with the help of immigration.
So for Japan, which itself is struggling with a shrinking workforce due to an aging population and declining childbirth, it's an especially thought-provoking story. While the role that immigration should play in the future of Japanese society is under debate, it's clear that immigrants have played a large role in the sustainability of British society. By leaving the EU and restricting immigration, Britain may lose out on the benefits of robust immigration.
But in the end, Britain did vote to leave, much to the surprise of many Leave voters who never expected it to pass. Their vote was a protest against a perceived loss of British sovereignty. But immigration was cited as the main reason to vote Leave by a full 33% of Leave voters. Adding insult to injury, speaking the day after the referendum, then UKIP leader Nigel Farage confessed that the EU payments mentioned earlier were not actually likely to be put into the national health system, as many had believed. It wasn't long before a new word, regret or regrexit, began to appear, indicating the regret of some Britons at having voted for Brexit.
But that regret comes too late. Still, as movement towards immigrant expulsion is spreading through the West, Brexit serves as a perfect example for how prejudice can give rise to post-truth politics.
In Japan as well, hasn't there been a bit of an uproar about a certain other question of truth?
There was an incident in which state land was sold to a particular school with a rather unusual 800 million yen discount. Despite inquiries, clear evidence of direct political involvement has not yet been uncovered. So the mystery continues with polls showing 70% of the electorate wishing to know the whole truth of the matter.
I heard that during a press conference there was some confusion over the word sontaku. My dictionary gives a variety of meanings related to guessing or surmising, but interpreters for the New York Times went with meanings closer to reading between the lines or having a mutual understanding. So what was actually going on there?
I think it's a word that reveals the way in which Japanese culture tends to prioritize the will of the powerful or the majority over one's own ideas or opinions, regardless of their truth. In a way, I think this points to the problem of post-truth being even more serious in Japan than in the West.
That's interesting. When I look around at Japanese society, I tend not to see as many direct examples of what I would consider post-truth behavior. So I wonder what you mean by that. But we're starting to run out of time, so let's take it up in detail next time. For now, let's end on a slightly lighter note with our keyword. Now, this word didn't actually appear in our discussion, but a few words that are examples of it did. Brexit, regret, and regrexit.
That's right. Brexit is a British exit from the EU. Regret is British regret over the leave vote, and regrexit is regret about exiting the EU. They all take part of one word and combine it with another word to invent a new word that includes the entire meaning.
In English, we call such a word a portmanteau. While originally referring to a type of luggage, portmanteau was first used to refer to a word made up of two other words mixed together in the story Alice in Wonderland. Usually, they take the beginning of one word and the end of another word, giving words like motel, a motor hotel, spork, a combination spoon-fork, or brunch, a meal between breakfast and lunch. But you can also mix two beginnings or even other parts of a word. And it turns out that Japanese has these kinds of portmanteaus as well, some of which have become very widespread.
For example?
Well, we all like to go karaoke, kara plus orchestra. And Pokemon, Pocket Monster, continues to be a very popular franchise around the world.
You're right. And here in Japan, there's a fairly newly coined word, owakon. It takes owa from the Japanese, owatteiru, meaning to be concluded or to be over, and combines it with kon from the beginning of the English word, content, which in Japanese is contents.
Owakon. So what does it mean?
It can simply mean concluded content, but often has a sense of something that was very popular and is now past it. It's especially used with anime or manga that are on the decline, but it can also refer to a once very popular product or service that has since fallen out of fashion.
I see. Well, then let's close this episode by using some of these new English and Japanese portmanteaus. Regret のようなことを繰り返さないためにも、ポスト真実が流行る時代はオワコンになるべきだ. So as not to feel regret again, this era of widespread post-truth should become owakon. How's that?
I really hope so.
All right, then that will have to do it for this time. So for now, thank you for spending this time with us.
And we hope we will see you again next time. Until then,
Bye-bye.
bye-bye.